All right, today's exercise, we've got an interesting one. So it's a custom kind of eye bolt design, and there's a lot of round shapes. So how would we build this? So my strategy will definitely be to do a revolve. Since this is a fully round part at the bottom, I can do most of this in one revolve. Now, it might be worth doing the cut separately if we want to edit that separately, or if we're going to have other components or parts kind of coming interacting with this. But if it's just one simple part, then we can do this all in a revolve. The upper part is just slightly trickier. So when I look at that, we're going to need to either do a sweep, which is a circle that follows this like circle path. But we actually can do a revolve for this type of shape. So we'll do that. We're going to need to construct some construction geometry, maybe an extra plane, some construction lines to make our life a little bit easier. So here's our dimensions. If you want to pause the video and take a stab at this on your own, and then now let's run through it once you're ready. Okay, new part. I'm starting a new sketch, and I'm gonna do this all under one main component since I won't be adding in additional parts or anything. And first thing I want to do is I'm gonna sketch a center line, and that can be my construction line that I'm gonna work with. And then I'll start working maybe I could work from the origin. So I'll come out. All right, so I've got my construction line. I'll start at the origin down below. I'm going to sketch a line going up. S key for line. This is my shortcut. S for a shortcut. It brings up my other favorites. I can turn my line back on. I can come out, sketch this next shape. And I'm just going to rough this out. And I could also use rectangles as well, if you want to do it that way. Now let's drop in some dimensions. So here's the important thing. I have this construction line, and I know all of these values as diameters, or I know some of them as diameters, as in it's the double dimension when we're doing a revolve. So when I come over and place this, you'll notice that it's just the half of a total revolve. So that's not how I want to do it. Instead, I'm going to dimension from the construction line to this line. And then before I place it, I'll right click and do diameter. And that lets me place the doubled version or the diameter version of what I want. You'll notice that it scaled my entire sketch down based on my first dimension. And that's based on one of my favorite preferences over in the design tab, the scale entire sketch from first dimension. Now I'm going to drag in the rest of the dimensions. Be sure to pick the construction line, then your line, right click, diameter if you're wanting to drop in these diameters. Now, sometimes when you sketch everything, it might kind of throw everything out. You can either try to drag it, drag everything back into shape, or you can just hit undo and try to maybe change the order of everything you're doing. And then I'm going to make this horizontal with the origin so it lines up nicely. It knows where it sits in space. Now, it's not really defined all the way to the top. We know that this needs to intersect with the upper circular shape, so I can kind of leave this for the moment. And what's missing? The blue lines, I don't have this width defined yet. I should define that. And we can even throw in a distance to the height here if we want to, just so that we can control it a little easier. I'm just going to make sure it goes over and we can come back to this. All right, so we have all these shapes, even though these are separate sections, that's no problem. We're going to now finish the sketch and go to the revolve command. And the thing I want to do is select all 3 profiles, and then I can revolve around this axis. And that leaves puts our hole inside, and everything's fused together as one. It's one body. And now we need to do that trickier part, which is that upper circular revolve. So I'm trying to create this shape now. So how do we do that? Well, I want to do it with a revolve, and I want to do it, with just a circle that follows around a center line. So if we know the value up to the center of where this would kind of start, we know that's 45. So when I look at the drawing, it's 45 up to this, and I know that the circle's diameter is 16. So one thing we can do is just come in with a center line or construction lines and kind of sketch this out. So I know I want to sketch a construction line off to the side here. I know that I want it to line up with this, so I'm going to sketch from here to there. My snaps are turned off. I'm going to turn them back on. Make that coincident. There we go. And I know I need this line to line up with the origin, so I could draw it in line with it and connect it, or make it coincident so it lines up with your origin. And we've got this as a construction line. Okay, so that's in the center. That's great. We know the distance is going to be 45. And the center of this circle right here, right in there, we know that distance is 30. Okay, so if we know that distance is 30, let's go ahead and place that. So now this point is kind of where I want my circle to start in space. So we don't have to do a sweep. We can come up and do a revolve if we like from this circle. So how do we get a plane right here? We don't have one. My planes are down below. So that's where I'm going to use the construction plane and do plane along path. I'll select this line and it'll put a plane on that one. And you can drag it up and down. I'm going to drag it all the way to the top. I don't know why it's doing that. Let's see if we can just type in a 0. It will. Okay, cool. Typing in a 0 kind of lets me overwrite. When I drag it, it wants to reorient and go along this other path, which is helpful, but in our case, actually difficult. So I hit 0, and there's that plane. So remember, planes are bigger than they actually look. They're actually infinite. It's just a visual representation so you know where it sits. I'll start a sketch on this new plane, and I want it to line up with this circle. So I'm on this plane. I'll sketch it, and I want to snap it into place. Great. So I have this circle in space, and then I know the diameter is 16. And so now we'll revolve this. But how are we going to revolve it? Can we revolve around this line? That would turn it kind of that direction. It looks like we may want to include a construction line for it to revolve around. So I'm going to come out to this point in space, go up a little bit, and do construction. So now I have this nice revolve axis that I can revolve around. Come to revolve, choose the profile. The line is here. That's the axis we're revolving around. You can see that it looks good. And now we want to control how tall this extrude is down below. So if I come back to my original sketch, edit it a little bit. We actually didn't have to edit it. We could have just changed it. What if I bump that up to, say, 10? and see that it's starting to actually fuse and intersect, and that's where we want to make sure that this is where this needs to be. In the drawing, it was actually coming up a little bit higher. So kind of a fun exercise to practice revolves, doing sketch, adding a construction plane to build this one. So in the comments below, let me know if you found a better way to do maybe one part of this or the whole part. Love to hear your strategy, as well as let me know how it was just building it if you were successful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey, for more Fusion 360 videos, check out this playlist.